Welcome back to the third part of enslaved people who ran away from upstate New York. You're seeing the Sankofa bird, and Sankofa is a word that comes to us from Ghana, West Africa, and it means go back and take that which is at risk of being left behind. And what is at risk of being left behind is our history of our beautiful ancestors that survived enslavement. I'm going to focus in a little on bodies, black bodies, in this episode based on the information in these posts to get back these runaway people. So I can only use the information that's there. But the significance of black bodies as an object that is coveted sexually, coveted for our abilities, for capacities, but never loved for ourselves. So also the medical issues that currently are attached to black bodies, that often people try to ignore the systemic injustices that led to the breakdown of our bodies and try to blame people and say things like, you're making poor choices. The choices that people make are based on the circumstances that they have. If you do not have sufficient money, you cannot buy the best quality food. If you live in a food desert, you cannot buy the best quality food. So our choices are limited by the history and the current prevalence of systemic injustice that has not been addressed. Anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox and go back to 1762, upstate New York. The first person is Prince of Ulster County, and he ran away from Devoy. Prince was 28 years old, 6 feet high, slender, and complexion like Madagascar. A Madagascar person with smooth skin. So I think that was some kind of lovely skin tone that they coveted. And the reward for his return was £10. For his coveted body and his energy, they would pay £10. 1763, we have Cuff or Cuffy of Dutchess County, and he ran away from Joseph Mott. Cuffy was 5 feet 10 inches, spoke English and High and Low Dutch very well, and he took many articles of clothing when he left. 40 shillings were offered for his return. Next, we have Jacob of Albany County, and Jacob was 23 years old, 5 feet 6 inches. And this one gives a very detailed account that is alarming to me, because if you ask most people to look at themselves, I don't even know most of the scars on my body. So here it goes. Scar on the right side of his forehead, left temple, just at the edge of his hair, pock mark on the upper part of his left cheek, calf of legs very high, stammers when drunk, so it must have been getting him drunk, makes up good stories about himself. They're trying to say he's deceptive. Who cares? Get away from them. Spoke very good English, some French, and a little Spanish. So this brother was trilingual. $2 were offered for his return. Still a high sum. In 1764, Jacob of Albany ran away again. Yup, Jacob not staying. He took a black and white spotty dog with him, and the dog was called Venture. The reward was increased to $5. So yeah, they were starting to get the point that Jacob don't want to be there. In 1763, Jim of Albany ran away from Mulla. Jim was tall, about 19 years old. He spoke good English and Dutch. He was believed to be going to New York City, to the dock, to the sailboat, or to family. These people were sold repeatedly, so often they lost connections and they wanted to regain them. $5 reward were offered for his coveted body. Trace of Dutchess County ran away from Reverend, yes, Irreverent Mr. Chauncey Graham. And this big hypocrite stood before God while enslaving someone. And Trace was 25 years old. He was energetic, well-built. He had a flat forehead, prominent lower face. He was brought up in New England. He was bold, he was prompt, he was likable, and he talks in a way that is not very respectful. No one can respect a person who steals their labor. He also played the violin, talented and gifted. 40 shillings were offered for his return. Next, we have Jack of Albany. And Jack ran away from John Raff. Jack was 33, about 5 feet 6 inches, had an outward bend in his right foot. On both of his legs, the toes are nearly frozen off. This was alarming to me. It's like, what are you doing to them that you froze their toe off? Inadequate clothing, inhumane conditions. $5 were offered for his coveted body, for someone to return him to people to steal his labor. 1764, Ben of Orange County ran away from Rumsey. Ben was 18 years old, mulatto or a mixed race person, 5 feet 6 inches, had full lips, frizzy hair, very broad shoulders. Similarly, his toes were also frozen off. And he gave multiple misinformation about where he was going. One point, he's going to North River, Little Nine Partners, Albany. He was just telling any story to anyone. $5 were offered for his coveted body. Jack of Albany County ran away from Jacob Plantier. Jack was 35, medium stature. He had a scar of a bullet on his leg. Maybe tried to run away before and they tried to shoot him. Who knows? £5 again offered. They really want that black body back. Next we have Jane of Albany County, and she ran away from John Farrell. Jane was a young woman with round face. Hands are a little crooked. A square mark on each temple. Don't know, maybe that was some African markings, unsure. 40 shillings for her return. 1765, Jane of Westchester County ran away with an unknown person. Jane was 20, very dark skinned, flat faced, and was previously owned. So might have gone back to that previous enslaver. Hector was about 30, 5 feet 8 inches tall. They describe him as well-made, full face, spoke both Dutch and English. And so you see that theme coming out. They're looking at our bodies in admiration. And if you're not sure that they admire their body, they sexually covet people because you're constantly hearing about mixed race people. So that tells you they wanted the bodies. Joseph of Albany and an unnamed male. Joseph was described as both black and Spaniard, meaning he mainly spoke Spanish or maybe was imported from a Spanish country. Joseph was a mulatto, about 25, short, well-built, and spoke English as a second language. The unnamed male was black and spoke Spanish but had a bigger stature. 40 shillings were offered for their return. 1766, we see Harre of Orange County, and he ran away from John Ryder. Harre was well built, 5 feet 8 inches, very dark skin. Chocolate. Next, we have Cato of Orange County, who ran away from Jacob Arden. Cato was about 40 years old, 5 feet 2 inches tall. Cato had yellow complexion. His mom's body was coveted, and here we have Cato. £3 were offered for his return. Next, we have Abram of Westchester County, and Abram ran away from John. Abram was 23 years old and used many aliases. He was 5 feet 5 inches, yellow complexion, another product of a coveted black body. He had long black curly hair. He was muscular with 4 broken teeth in the lower part of his mouth. I can imagine how painful that must have been and what could they have done to this poor young man. £5 were offered for his return. Dover of Westchester County ran away from James Raymond, and Dover was 18, another mulatto or mixed race person, 5 feet 9 inches. £5 were offered for his return. Next, we have Mingo or Jim of Westchester County, and he ran away from Isaac Wilkins, Mingo was brown, 5 feet 9 inches, large scar partly on his nose and another at the middle of his forehead. He had several masters prior to this one. So again, he could have been going back to his loved ones, going back to some living situation that was not as bad as this. 40 shillings offered for his return. 1768, we have a different Harre of Albany County, and they're not sure of his age, so that means they might not have bought him from birth. So Harre was about 30 to 35. He was short with broad shoulders, large staring eyes, small legs, large feet, and 2 toes frozen off. Very detailed account. Again, the savagery of the 2 toes that are frozen off. What could have happened to poor Harre? Next and last for tonight, we have Cuff of Dutchess County, and Cuff was male, 5 feet high. They describe his physique as a great physique. He had brown skin with long hair, and he kept it pulled back. He spoke English very well. So that's it. We see the black bodies are strong when they got here and started to decline because of enslavement.